Hi, everyone. Welcome to the Shine from the Inside newsletter audio edition. I am Angie Hawkins. I'm an inner glow coach who helps high-achieving women transform from chasing love and approval to radiating confidence so that they can finally feel happy, free, and loved for who they are. I am also the author and speaker of Running in Slippers. Today, we are going to be talking about how other people are not medicine. And as always, I do not edit. Have you ever used someone else for emotional support? There's no shame in answering yes, because let's just say I understand. In 2017, my boyfriend broke up with me to be with someone else, and shortly thereafter, my dad passed away. After my dad died, I was so distraught and desperate for answers that I went to a spiritual medium. In our session, she was able to give me messages from my dad, which provided the closure I needed. However, at the end of the session, the medium touched on my ex-boyfriend. Following is an excerpt from Chapter 5 of my book, Running in Slippers, which describes the conversation. I reach for more Kleenex and give her the Cliff Notes version of Mark. The trauma bond, my codependency on him, even though he didn't treat me the way I deserved, how he always gave me the silent treatment, and how he ultimately kicked me to the curb for Julia. Up and down, around and around, on and off, for the better part of 8 years. But the last 4 being the worst, because instead of accepting that he wasn't capable of being in a loving, committed relationship, I tried to convince him to change. Luna basically tells me that I need to get over him, which I already know, but can't and don't want to accept. We are almost at the end of the hour session, and I haven't asked any questions yet, but there is one burning question that I am desperate to know the answer to. I ask her, "Why didn't Mark choose me?" "Do you really want to know?" Her tone is challenging. Yikes, maybe I don't. Curiosity killed the cat. I nod yes. She responds, "Because you didn't accept him for who he is." She does. I have a breakdown right in front of Luna. I don't think I've ugly cried in front of anyone before. The worst part is, I know she's right. Instead of walking away, I wanted to change him into someone who loved and accepted me unconditionally. Even though I have the closure I need with Dad, my heart feels even more damaged and raw than it did before. Before leaving Luna's, she gives me a carnelian bracelet, an orange crystal for courage, vitality, and confidence. I go home to work for the rest of the afternoon. Before logging back in, I go to the bathroom. As I splash cold water on my face, a tornado of emotions erupts and is so intense that I collapse on the floor. The shame is debilitating. I feel shame for the role I played in the dysfunction with Mark. I feel shame for not accepting him for who he was. I feel shame for not having the self-respect to walk away on my own. The cold, harsh truth is that it's my fault I'm grieving Mark and Dad at the same time. Because even though my hands were raw and bleeding from holding on, I didn't have the courage to walk away from Mark a long time ago because I was too afraid of being alone. I'm not grieving Mark, I'm grieving being alone. This is why I don't deserve to be loved. The shame comes to the surface but doesn't leave, so I wallow in it on the bathroom floor for 2 whole hours. End scene. Even though the awareness that I was using Mark for emotional support brought up so much shame, it was one of the most valuable lessons in my entire life, because I also became aware of how I had frequently been using other people to be the things that made me happy. I hadn't been taking accountability for my own internal happiness. Even worse, I was hurting people in the process. How can you tell if you are using someone else for emotional support? This list is not exhaustive, but these are the red flags within my past experiences that were the most common. 1, I didn't accept others for who they were because I wanted them to be what I needed them to be. 2, If they wanted time alone, I took it personally and sometimes didn't respect their boundaries. 3, I cared more about what other people thought of me than what I thought of myself. 4, I felt anxious when I didn't hear from them. 5, I struggled with being alone and made others responsible for keeping me company. 6, I would cancel plans or rearrange my schedule to spend time with them. Wow, that felt embarrassing to read, but the good news is I rarely fall into these bad habits anymore. All of this was solved by doing the inner work and going to the root of why I was doing what I was doing, because our subconscious beliefs are what dictate our behaviors. Best of all, I learned about emotional regulation. Now I don't feel like my emotions paralyze me, and when they do feel overwhelming, I have internal tools to cope. Side note, coming soon, I will share my Anxiety Slayer 90-second power move to feel safe in your body after years of anxiety attacks. When you are full and happy within yourself, you don't need someone outside of you to make you happy. They're only enhancing your experience. You deserve to be happy. If this resonates with you, leave a comment, because I think a lot of people do this, but there's a lot of shame around it, because I know I felt very shameful when I realized I was doing it, but I would love to hear about other people's experiences because there's no shame here. Glow tip: become the emotional support system you've always searched for in others. Start each morning by asking yourself, what do I need today to feel safe, seen, and supported? Then give it to yourself, whether it's journaling, a walk in nature, a playlist that lifts your soul, or simply saying no to something that drains you. The real glow up isn't about changing your appearance or chasing validation. It's about becoming so emotionally aware that love and support from others feels like an enhancement, not a lifeline. You don't just deserve to be loved. You deserve to feel whole even when you're alone. That's the kind of glow that never fades. I also want to add to this, once I became aware that I was doing this to other people, it also helped me be aware of when other people were doing it to me, which is really important, because when someone else is doing this to you, it can feel very emotionally draining, among other things. And this is where boundaries come into place, which we will talk about that in more detail in another newsletter. Craving deeper? Dear Radiant Soul, if you found yourself exhausted from constantly trying to be everything for everyone and always performing, always pleasing, always perfecting, I want you to know that you're not alone and you don't have to keep living this way. In Shine from the Inside coaching, I guide women just like you through the glow method of coming home to themselves. Together, we gently unravel the patterns of people-pleasing, perfectionism, and self-abandonment that have kept us stuck in cycles of emotional overfunctioning and spiritual burnout. This isn't about fixing you. You were never broken, just dimmed. Let's turn your light back on. It's about remembering who you are beneath the mask and the hustle. The result? Everything shifts. You stop outsourcing your happiness, you stop shrinking to fit into spaces that were never meant for you, and you become the woman who walks into a room and doesn't need anyone's approval because she already belongs to herself. If you're tired of endlessly, quote unquote, working on yourself and ready to feel radiant, grounded, and free, Shine from the Inside was created for you. You deserve to feel whole, you deserve to feel powerful, and you deserve to shine. Last but not least, I am having an end of summer glow up August 2025 promotion. You've spent the summer keeping everyone else happy. What would it feel like to pour all of that energy into you and go into 2026 on fire? For the month of August only, I'm offering $1,000 off my signature Shine from the Inside coaching experience, a high-touch journey for women ready to stop people-pleasing and start loving themselves unapologetically and become a magnet to the life they actually want. This offer is for the woman who knows deep down she's done abandoning herself to be loved. She wants to attract love and success from her truth, not her performance, and she's ready to prioritize her glow up from the inside out. Spots are limited, and this pricing disappears at midnight Hawaii time on August 31st, 2025. Let's make your next season your most radiant one yet. And I will see you next week on the next newsletter audio edition. Have a good week.